Hola fam, and welcome to another episode of Latina Geek. This is a unique situation, so funny story, I actually recorded this already. 46 or so minutes of me giving the best performance of my life, only to find out that my computer only recorded 46 seconds of it. So I'm doing it all over again, and I'm doing it because I love to do this. So we're gonna take it round two. Maybe we'll even get a different ending, and I'll talk about that a little bit. So just remember, kids, even if you pour your heart and soul into something, you just might have to do it again. Alright. Hi. Welcome. Prepare for silliness. Before your story bit can begin, please tell us your name. So, I don't think your name is adjustable in this at all, so we're going to stick with Elizabeth. And oh, you can change it. What is your butler's name? How about Antonio? So you're Elizabeth and your butler is Antonio. Now please, know that this story was made in Ren'Py, the visual novel engine, with music composed by Christopher Escalante, and voiceover by Bradley Garrett, Hayden DeVoe, and Jonas Guy. Thanks guys. Okay. We sincerely hope you enjoy this short story. And hopefully, I don't get the same ending. Life's not fair, is it?
I'm not sure what you mean, ma'am.
It just isn't. I have riches and power and practically everything I can possibly want, but I don't at the same time.
You're getting
Don't hurt yourself.
You're being silly, ma'am.
This was my life. Whether I liked it or not, I was an heiress to a rich family. Splendid, no. To many women, this would have been a dream come true. The perfect way to spend life. However, it wasn't as loving as one would think. Sophie, I'm being serious.
Of course you are. Of course you are. I'm not saying you aren't.
Aww. You said I was being silly.
But I never said not serious, ma'am, did I?
You.
Aha! See, ma'am, I know you're serious. You're just being silly.
I was. There you go again. Sophie was my personal maid, and despite her jokes, she was one of my best friends. She's been with me ever since I was a child, and has cared for me like a sister ever since. Sophie has gotten me out of trouble so many times because she's paid to do so, even when I was at fault. It's a surprise that she deals with me.
Now, ma'am, don't get fussy. I was only fooling.
Still, I'm right, you know. Life
is never fair, ma'am. It gives you lemons when you want to make orange juice. That's how the saying goes, right?
You dumb old goat. It's when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. Like Beyonce, Sophie.
But what if I want orange juice?
That's exactly what I mean. It's not fair.
Oh, ma'am, you're not talking about him again, are you?
Of course I was. He was all I could think about. All I could talk about. Antonio. My personal butler. Antonio was charming and handsome, sophisticated and sweet. He's practically everything I dreamed of in a man, yet despite him always being in an arm's reach, he was as far away as could be. He was devoted to being the perfect servant, even if that meant disobeying any romantic requests. I let out a sigh and looked at Sophie helplessly. I'm hungry, Sophie.
Oh no, ma'am, those puppy eyes won't work on me. I already got you an extra tray of biscuit cookies for your morning tea. None of that now, no whining.
Sophie!
Fine. I'll make you some fruit sandwiches and tea.
What's a fruit sandwich? Comment below if you know what a fruit sandwich is. Yay! Thank you! I'm spoiled. Alright.
Honestly, I spoil you.
You love me.
Yes, ma'am, I love you. I'll be right back.
Sophie left me alone in my room, giving me time to think about Antonio. While I sat at my study desk. He was barely 3 years older than I was. Yet he acted like a proper gentleman. The way he smiled practically made my knees weak. His voice made my heart sing and long. blissful arias of affection. I was in love with my butler. I didn't care. The only problem was that he didn't let me back. Antonio was invested in becoming the perfect servant, that he denied any romantic gesture I threw his way. The mere thought of the last failure made me slump in my chair. Life's not fair. Suddenly, there was a knock at my door. I am brooding. Leave me be. Who is
Your
it?
butler, miss. May I come in?
My heart stopped. It was him. Antonio. I felt pure elation bubble in my chest. Come in, please. The door opened to reveal Antonio, standing at full attention for me, Raul, with a tray covered in letters in his hand. He took a step into the room, closed the door behind him, and walked to the front of my desk.
My deepest apologies for the interruption, my lady, but I have some letters addressed to you. I came as quick as I received them.
Oh, thank you. Antonio gently placed the tray on my desk in front of me, revealing 3 letters. One had my family seal, one was pink and practically reeked of flowers, and the last letter was a plain envelope. I carefully opened the letter with my letter opener, and took out the letter portrait. It was surprisingly pure white, despite being in a concealed envelope. I reread the parchment contents aloud. The lady exits the pumpkin carriage. Queen to bishop. K. K? What kind of joke was this? Who was K? What was K getting
A
at?
riddle, perhaps?
A riddle for what? This must be a mistake. Who sent this? I looked to the envelope for any indication of the sender, but the only thing on the envelope, besides for my address and name, was a giant K, wax seal on the corner. Odd. I held my breath and opened the letter with my letter opener, taking out the letter parchment and reading the contents of the note. My dear Elizabeth, my name is Isaac Newton. I know that you do not know me, but I hope to know more about you. I'm currently in town this weekend. I would like to request your presence for tea. Please write back soon. Isaac. Another damn suitor. Ugh.
A suitor? I'm afraid I'm unfamiliar with the Newport family.
Did I care? I wasn't interested in courting, especially with a man I didn't even know. Besides, the man I wanted to court was in the room with me, and had already proved to be a difficult challenge as it was. I sighed and placed my hands in the middle of the note, ready to tear it in two. However, Antonio stopped
Miss, I
me.
would suggest holding on to that note.
Huh? Why? I was going to turn him down.
Still, if he were to visit, you'll have proven knowledge of who he is rather than forget in the future.
I sighed and placed the note in one of my drawers to obviously be forgotten about later. The letter with that seal. I opened the letter gently with my letter opener, taking out the letter parchment and reading its contents. Dear Elizabeth, I will be returning home today from my business trip. Please make sure to clean yourself and dress properly for my arrival. We have much to discuss. Your mother.
Her mother is returning. That's wonderful news.
Is it? My mother had been on a long business trip that lasted almost 2 weeks. Most likely she would be staying for a couple days. Then she would be off to another business trip that needed her attention. This was the norm with my mother. Being that she single-handedly owned the estate, I had to admit it was only without her. However, when she was around, it was stressful. She demanded perfection out of me beyond anything, hoping that eventually I would become a perfect and proper young woman. I just turned 17. She was perfect when she turned the age of 13. I apparently had a long way to go. Yes, wonderful. I sighed and slumped into my chair. My mother's returning. And to have another damn suitor in this letter riddle makes absolutely no sense. Today, starting
Is
off
there anything I
marvelously.
could do to make you happy, my lady?
Well, please kiss me. Antonio cleared his throat, making me grit my teeth in my closed mouth. By the way, I mentioned this in my previous recording that never got recorded. This is absolute fluff. If you haven't guessed by now, this is, I don't want to say trash because like clearly there were some folks that had created it and it's a cute little game, but this is definitely on some girly shit. So if this is not your jazz, I get it. Go back to my previous ones. But this is along the lines of pinch of boyfriend. Moving on.
I'm afraid I cannot, my lady.
Why,
Because I am your butler, you are my lady, it would be improper.
oh, my lady. I looked down at my desk. I wanted to protest, but after so many failures, I had practically given up trying to fight his stubbornness. I stood and walked around my desk, wanting some fresh air. Tell Sophie that. Whoa. Yeah. I suddenly felt myself falling, my foot slipping out from underneath me. I quickly grabbed for something and tried to maintain my balance. Well, I didn't realize that I was grabbed Antonio and had pulled him down over on top of me. Ow.
My lady, are you all right?
I'm better now. I bit my lip. This was exactly what I wanted, but this was purely by accident. I was sure he would think this was planned. Are you okay, Antonio? I shouldn't have grabbed to you.
I am, thank you.
To my surprise, he was blushing a little bit. I stared in shock. Was he as embarrassed and or turned on as I was? The door opened again, forcing Antonio and me to look up towards it in shock.
Ma'am, I brought you... oh my.
Yeah, it is exactly what it looks like. I blushed a deep red. To have him on top of me was one thing. To have Sophie. Woo! It's not that late, I swear. To have Sophie see was another. And or hotter. Antonio quickly stood up and helped me up, gently brushing us both off as Sophie bit her lip with a grin.
No worries, ma'am. I didn't say anything, I swear.
I glared at Sophie, knowing she was stifling laughter. I looked to Antonio after sighing. I was shocked to see him blushing as much as I was. I stared as he closed his eyes and tried to take deep breaths. Was he flustered? I looked at Sophie, who looked like she was ready to explode into laughter while holding my sandwiches and tea and being on my payroll.
Well, if you both will excuse me, I need to prepare lunch for Lady Beaumont's arrival.
Antonio bowed to me quickly before exiting the room, closing the door behind him. At the sound of his footsteps disappeared, Sophie burst into laughter.
What happened while I was away? Were you trying to seduce him again, ma'am?
Way to call me out like that. What? Sophie!
That was hilarious, ma'am.
I glared at her once again, making her stop and bring her laughter to a soft chuckle.
So, ma'am, I brought some sweet sandwiches and tea for you. Strawberries with a fresh hazelnut spread.
That sounds really good, actually.
My
wow,
pleasure,
thank
ma'am.
you. I sat down at my desk and watched Sophie place down the plate of
Any
tea
fancy
sandwiches.
mail today, ma'am?
Talk about... Wait. Would it change everything? I'm gonna tell her about the suitor. I have a new suitor.
Ooh, a new suitor! What's his name? What's his name?
Isaac Newport.
Newport? Has a Newport law affairs?
You've heard of Newport.
You're damn right I have. They're a new lawyer family coming up from out of nowhere. Only the peasantry like me know about them, though. They specialize in helping poor families with houses and such.
And such. Is that so? That was very interesting. The Newport family was a new family to look forward to gossip at parties. Hopefully there would be enough talk about them to ignore me. I wasn't a fan of the parties the rich families around me hosted.
Anything else?
No. I sighed and enjoyed my snack. The tea was almost perfect, and the sandwiches were very sweet, but I appreciate Sophie's work despite it being a mental task. She did it with love. Love.
So, ma'am, what are you going to wear for your mother when she arrives?
You know about my mother coming in today.
The kitchen is in hysterics about it, ma'am. You can't hide anything from that Abby.
That's very true. I sat in silence for a moment contemplating on what to wear. I had many outfits, but I wasn't about to put on a fashion display for my mother. Stopping my snack, I looked to Sophie and thought, what dress do you suggest?
Well, you could always wear the white one your mother bought from France. Then there's also the red one from Spain. That one looks good on you.
On you? Red or white? It was a simple choice, but I almost felt like laughing at the choice itself. Something about it was hilarious to me, and I couldn't put my finger on why. Madonna horror complex, kids. I finally made up my mind and said,
Ooh,
white.
lovely choice, ma'am. Are you sure about the white one?
Sure. I'm sure. Sophie nodded and got out my white dress from the closet.
Let's get you cleaned up, ma'am. Then we'll get this dress on you.
Getting into the dress was a tiring process. First, I had to clean, use an unnecessary large bath to wash in. Then I had it to be dry, which required both me and Sophie to do in a reasonable amount of time. After that, I had to powder and put on my underclothes, which included a corset. Sophie, you're trying to kill me.
Just a little more, ma'am. Your mother would kill us both.
Corsets were a pain. Then we finally put on the dress. It was easy to slip on and only took Sophie a minute to tie it up perfectly, to fit me perfectly. Woof. Man, that is not a good look. I stood in front of my large vanity mirror checking out my dress. I smiled at my choice. It was a lovely dress with lace and ribbons, and I dared to think I looked like an angel in it. Sophie quickly found a white ribbon and tied it in my hair.
You look so lovely, ma'am. I'm jealous.
Be jealous! Thank you, Sophie. You're the best in the West. Sophie smiled and bowed to me graciously. I turned back to the mirror and stared at myself a little longer, wondering what Antonio would think of it. It wasn't sexy, but it was still elegant and mature. The sound of horses made me quickly look away from the mirror to look at my window. I rushed over and looked out to see a large carriage stopping in front of the house.
Who's that? I don't recognize the carriage.
I don't either. I stared at the carriage a while longer, unable to tear my eyes away. Who's visiting us today of all days? The door of the carriage opened and out stepped a handsome man looking around my age. He was dressed in a casual suit with brushed hair and an anxious smile. As per his protocol, Antonio stepped out of the mansion and greeted him. They spoke to each other briefly before Antonio escorted him inside. What did this man want?
Ah, ma'am, could it be the Newport son who sent you that letter?
Probably. That Cockney accent kills me every time, guys. Isaac, why would it be him? Why would he even come?
He's come to court you. Oh my, this is exciting.
I would be so heated. I don't know. I know that back in those days they actually had to make plans. I quickly looked back to the carriage, trying to piece that logic together. How did he wish to meet me? How he did? Ooh, he did wish to meet with me, but why come to my house? Was he that desperate? I sighed and exited my room with Sophie close behind. I felt the obligation to greet him creep into my gut, so I followed all the way to the main lobby. I stepped into the lobby to see a man and Antonio conversing to one another. At the sound of my footsteps, however, they stopped and looked at me. Antonio seemed surprised at my outfit. Did you like it? I looked at him and gently tilted my head in confusion. Antonio quickly shook his head and cleared his throat. Sophie sighed.
Mr. Newport, may I introduce the current lady of the house, Miss Beaumont.
Sup? As I was introduced, I climbed down the stairs of the grand staircase, reached the bottom, and walked over to where two gentlemen were waiting with me, with Sophie 2 steps behind. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Allow me to say you look absolutely stunning, Miss Beaumont.
Do I? Do I? Thank you, Mr. Newport. I presume according to my butler.
Yes, Isaac Newport. It's a pleasure to finally meet you at last.
I wish I could say the same. He held out a hand, wanting me to place it in mine. Do I want to? My mother was around, so I didn't necessarily have to be polite to that extent. Simply not. Thank you. Isaac stared for a second before gently smiling and pulling his hand away from me politely. Back up, bro. May I ask why you are here?
Oh, well, I was in town and I was passing by your estate, so I decided to come by and possibly meet you. Obviously, it was a good choice.
I don't know about that, bro, stuff. I see. Well, I'm afraid I usually deal with scheduled meetings, so I'm not sure that I can entertain you.
Oh, no, I wasn't insinuating anything of the sort. I merely wished to stop by and meet you, that's all.
Sup? Alright, I understand. Well, since you did stop by, allow me to offer you some tea. I looked back over my shoulder at Sophie, who quickly nodded and stepped forward, adding me towards Isaac.
Would you follow me to the drawing room, please? I'll prepare some tea and bring it as soon as it's ready.
Thank you so much.
I bit my tongue. Sophie was definitely a great actress around guests. Sophie and Isaac walked towards the drawing room, leaving Antonio and me alone. Hey, baby. I let out a sigh.
Is something troubling you, my lady?
No, I'm just surprised, that's all. Antonio nodded. Excuse me. Antonio nodded, standing at the ready for any instructions I had. I looked in the direction of the drawing room, and we made out! We made out so hard! That's not really what happened. And I bit my lip. I didn't want to sit there with him, especially my mother was coming today. Who knows what you would think.
My lady, if I may speak my mind.
Go for it, toots. I turned to look at Antonio. Oh, go ahead.
You look absolutely stunning in that dress.
I stared, suddenly turning red in the face at his compliment. He thought I looked stunning? I looked at the ground, unable to reply back. Antonio cleared his throat and stood back at attention, awaiting for me to either give him orders or leave. Just my luck, however. I turned my head to the front door, hearing another set of horses. Antonio, please check who has arrived.
Yes, my lady.
Oh man, this dress does absolutely nothing for my breasts. Antonio quickly walked over and opened the door.
Your mother has returned.
Hell, I felt my heart stop. Was my luck just terrible today? Antonio quickly exited the front doors to assist my mother out of her carriage. I stood knowing that my mother would want me to be at the lobby waiting for her. I felt frozen, unsure of how to explain the second carriage to my mother, who was very quickly on her way inside. It was a suitor, but I didn't want her to get the wrong idea. Oh, it is only 8 o'clock. At last, my mother stepped into the lobby with Antonio carrying her bags almost effortlessly behind him as a rain cloud hovered over her head.
Ah, there you are. Punctual as expected.
Shut up, baby, you know it. My mother quickly stepped up to me and looked me up and down. I waited to see how she would respond. I wore white instead of red. Surely she'd be happy.
No mistakes or loose flaps of cloth. Good.
I smiled at my mother. I did appreciate when I made her proud enough not to let
Now,
me.
can you explain to me why there's another carriage in the front?
I had to be calm. She had to understand I was not interested in a suitor, nor did I invite him. Isaac Newport wanted a visit today, Mother. He was in town and decided to stop.
And where is he?
In the drawing room, Mother.
I have no time for guests. I have much to do, and I won't have you entertaining guests without me.
My mother
Escort
turned her
him
head
out.
to Antonio.
Yes, madam.
Antonio gently placed my mother's luggage down away from the door and quickly left for the drawing room.
Now, have you been keeping up with your studies?
Yes, Mother.
Have you been practicing the piano?
Yes, Mother.
Perfecting your handwriting?
Yes, Mother.
Good. Then we can discuss.
As she was about to finish her statement, Isaac and Antonio entered the lobby, walking towards the exit. Isaac stopped and bowed to my mother.
Oh, hello, Lady Beaumont. It is a pleasure to meet you.
It is a pleasure to meet you too, Mr. Newport. I'm afraid we have some business to attend to, so we cannot entertain you today. Feel free to stop by tomorrow.
I understand perfectly, ma'am. Please, have a good day.
Isaac bowed to my mother before smiling at me.
And a good day to you too, Miss Beaumont.
Tell me how to live my life, Isaac! With that, he left and exited the mansion, with Antonio closing the door for him.
Mr. Newport, you say?
Yes, Mother?
He looked to be your age. Was he a suitor?
Yeah, sure. I couldn't lie to her. She knew how to see through lies. My mother stared at me in thought before walking past me towards the drawing room. I sighed and followed suit. As I do. We entered the drawing room where Sophie was cleaning the tea Isaac was previously having.
Leave the tea. Bring new cups.
Yes, madame.
Sophie quickly left the room with the used cup Isaac had, leaving me and my mother alone. Mother sat down, waiting for me to sit across her in the empty seat. I quickly obeyed her silent command to do so, looking at her and sitting up as properly as I could.
How old are you now?
So old. 17, Mother.
17 and still unmarried. What am I to do with you?
You'd be livid if you found out I was 29 and unmarried. I bit my tongue. I knew better than to speak back to my mother when she talked like that, because she was an insane old lady with Victorian tastes. She had been hoping one day I would marry, but it was becoming feeble.
Anyways, I will be staying here for a couple of days to deal with some in-town business. I expect you to entertain Mr. Newport properly should he return. This goes for any suitor, understand?
Sure.
The dinner schedules will be upheld as I am here. If you are not at dinner during the scheduled time, you will not eat. Understand?
Understands. Yes, Mother.
Good.
My mother was strict, but for a good reason. She wanted me to be a perfect lady, suitable for marriage and upholding the family. If I was to toe out of line, I would be lectured until I regretted it, ever disobeying. We drank tea, barely speaking to each other before I was dismissed back to my room. I quickly stood, bowed, and left. Sophie followed 2 steps behind me. As I entered my room, I slumped and let out a tired sigh. So Mother's here. Great.
Oh, come now, ma'am, you should be happy.
I walked to my bed, sat down, feeling exhaustion take over my body like a gust of wind. I thought of the suitor. He was polite, but was he really? He seemed young and bright and seemed like a good idea to try and be with him. It would indeed make my mother happy. On the other hand, I still liked Antonio. He kept me enthralled in his spell. I didn't know how to proceed with him. Mother would never approve, but I couldn't deny my feelings so easily. I looked at my window. Life's not fair, is it?
You keep saying that, miss.
Really
if you
do.
keep looking at it like that, you'll never get oranges.
But what can I do? My eyes traveled down, wanting to land in my lap. However, my gaze stopped at an envelope stuck in the window. What is this? The girl puts on the red hood. Bishop to king. Okay. Another riddle. What's going on?
A riddle? The glass slipper bit talks about Little Red Riding Hood, but the second part talks about chess again.
Okay. This makes no sense.
Ooh, maybe it's a sign. Someone's telling you to,
I don't think so, Sophie. Whatever you're gonna say, you're probably wrong. Was I sure, though? This note and last were connected somehow, but I didn't want to blindly follow their message. I guess I'll just wait for another one if another one appears. I'll try to sort this out. Something in my gut was telling me that these messages were meant to tell me what to do. Were they about Isaac? Or were they about Antonio? I felt tired just thinking about it. I gently fell back on my bed, uncaring if my dress was still on, and let my eyes close naturally.
Ma'am, shouldn't you...
Shh.
Okay, ma'am. Have a good rest.
I listened as Sophie left the room, leaving me alone. I kept my eyes shut, letting the exhaustion take hold of me and bringing me to a world of sleep. I didn't mind that the corset binding me limited my breath. I didn't mind I was suffocating. I felt at peace resting in my bed. I didn't even open my eyes until hours later, when the sun was down. And then. I sat up, wincing at the squeeze my corset had on me. I looked around and realized now that the stars and night sky were out. I'd missed dinner. Ugh, I missed eating. What am I going to do? As I asked myself that question, I looked over to my desk where a plate covered with small trays sat. I looked. Whew. I stood and walked over, opening it to reveal a plate of food. Sophie. I'll have to thank her when she returns. I smiled and was about to sit to eat, but something in the window caught my eye. Huh? I walked over and peered out the window to see Antonio walking around the house, away from my window. Antonio? It was odd for him to be out this late, let alone at all. He really never went outside unless someone needed to be escorted in. Why was he outside now? I quickly rushed to my dresser, but before I touched the knob, I stopped and stared at my hand. Was this a good idea, sneaking out late to see what my butler was doing? Yes. I bit my lip, remembering the note I had received just before I fell asleep. The girl puts on the red hood. What was this note talking about? No, it was silly to believe, but it was almost frightening how accurate it was to the situation I was about to go into. Now I was unsure. Should I follow? Duh. I nodded at myself. I want to know. I took the knob, opened the dresser, taking out my night shawl and covering my shoulders with it. I closed the drawer and quickly snuck out of my room. It was quiet in the house, which irked me and made me feel relieved. But as long as I remained quiet, I'd not be found. I quickly tiptoed my way to the front door, opened it, and snuck out towards the direction Antonio was heading. The gravel underneath my shoes cracked and shuffled, making me wince with each step. This background. I didn't want him to find out I was following him and watching. But I didn't succeed.
My lady?
That's not your line! I froze, staring at the corner I was about to turn. How did he know it was me?
I know it's you. Come on out.
Damn it. I peeked around the corner to see him carrying a lantern and staring in my direction. He's not carrying a lantern. How did you know it was me?
I can recognize your perfume and powder, my lady.
Well. Oh, right. There was no use in sneaking. I quickly walked over to him and looked up at his dimly lit face, unsure of what to say now that I was caught.
My lady, you shouldn't be out this late.
I'm sorry, I just woke up and...
There's no excuse, my lady. Come, we must get you back inside.
Potty poopa. I couldn't even fight back. I was quickly taken back to my room without question. The next morning I was dressed by Sophie and brought before Isaac. To my surprise, Mother had arranged a marriage between him and I. Antonio stood at my mother's side, watching I was proposed to by Isaac. I had to say yes. My mother's eyes forced me to say yes. At last, my mother received the marriage for me that she wanted. I was finally going to be a woman. I looked to Antonio, knowing that my romantic advances no longer would happen now that I was to be a wife. Don't get me wrong, Isaac was a good man. He just didn't give me the urgency to pursue his love. Our marriage was a business arrangement, one my mother perfected and desired. My life was full of lemons ready for lemonade, but they are too bland to sell. Oh, lame. The lady locks the girl in her tower. Queen takes bishop. Sad. Well, that's it. So romantic. Alright, thank you guys so much for hanging in there. That was My Lady. It's available on Steam for a whole $1.05, at least according to tax laws. It actually is 99 cents on Steam. Go support them. They did a great job. Yeah, there's some things, but thank you guys so much for watching this silly little snippet and hanging in there while my old ass yawn. Woo! Alright, well, stay tuned. Next week, we'll have more Let's Plays as we go. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Bye now.